I'm here with my dog, my teammate. I'm super hyped to have my girl here. Two-time WNBA All-Star, Kelsey Mitchell. What's good?
Imagine working 7 years with the same group, seeing coaches arrive and endure a season of suffering due to a loss, successively, and only when you're prepared to give up, a novice enters and gets dressed. It all seems so unreal, doesn't it? That's precisely what transpired with Indiana Fever and Kelsey Mitchell.
Finishing with her off hand. Passes ahead, Wheeler extra feed. Oh, that was pretty. Mitchell on the drive, splits the double team, draws the foul, gets it to...
For many years, she was an individual warrior achieving all-star stats that don't demonstrate any team success.
Well, I'm a Fever girl.
You're a Fever girl.
7th year. You know, it's been a difficult year for me from a standpoint of like personal. You know, I lost my dad 5 or 6 months ago, so that was tough. And I look back on my year now, Dub, and I'm just so grateful to be here again because I never thought, you know, for one, to be doing it without a parent.
However, something fundamental changed in 2025. What actually took place behind the scenes? Moreover, how did rookie save Caitlin Clark? Mitchell's career endured due of. Everything is revealed in this interview.
We just gonna hop into it. We know who you are.
Yeah.
We know you a bucket, but a lot of our listeners, they may not know who you are, what you about, what school you went to. You really are true definition of a easy bucket.
For 7, the Fever missed the straight seasons. Years of continuous reconstruction for the playoffs. 7 years with various instructors. Distinct game and systems. Strategies, none of which ever succeeded. Nevertheless, Mitchell maintained. She continued to grind without stopping, demonstrating that she was among the greatest league scorers. However, basketball is a game that's not merely regarding your personal excellence, able to score 20 points every night, but if your people stop paying when the team doesn't win, as well as in a league like as the WNBA, where everyone is in the spotlight. Mitchell wasn't receiving she deserved the recognition, but it wasn't. She is only being held back by the team's performance. Imagine going through 4 distinct head coaches over the course of 7 years, each time when a new coach takes over, it's like beginning over new tactics, new ideas, and fresh expectations that you are unable to create. Chemistry that isn't necessary to create enduring identity is draining, and Mitchell was anticipated to be It was annoying to see the franchise's face. Transcends comprehension.
We both been here for a number of years, right? Yeah. Y'all done been through the tough years. Well, you really gotta grind it out. You know, tough season.
What, you had 7 years here?
All 7.
All 7. You ain't never been to another team.
Girl.
She had every justification for leave. She may have requested She may have looked for a team to trade with, where she was already winning, would not need to transport as much of the burden, but instead she remained, and that devotion was as agonizing as it was at times become a part of who she was. Wasn't just another Indiana athlete. She was from Indiana.
Not individual team.
And anybody that want to compete and be a winner, you know,
It's about team.
It's about team. And so I was always open to having like really great pieces around me, and I just think it was unfortunate. And I just think the hand I was dealt was like, you know, I trusted in the organization in different ways, from like the management and the people that they brought in. And so I just kind of like trusted the wave. And so,
however, let's discuss what that really is. Intended for her on the court, even though Mitchell, everything was against her. Continued to hoop at a high level starting in 2018. She was averaging more than 16 points in 2023. Not only as a big volume but also per game scorer, she was also effective. Lethal from 3 and capable of producing her own shot and possessed one of the fastest. Her game was released in the league. Designed to succeed, but success never appeared to locate her troops, but it wasn't. As if she had no intention of changing anything. She entered the gym first and left last. She was playing the leave type of game. Doing all in her power to join the team. Better, but a single WNBA star cannot solve all problems. You must have the appropriate system. The correct coach. You require teammates who fit your fashion sense and last for years. Years ago, Mitchell lacked that. 2023 arrived, a season that for the first time, she had a glimmer of hope as time was acknowledged as an all-star at last. Something that ought to have occurred. She posted her career figures years ago, demonstrating that she wasn't merely getting by. She was doing well, but the fever persisted. Weren't at the proper location, they were getting better, yes, but they weren't candidates, and Mitchell was aware of that. If she was ever going to be able to, watching the playoffs, after which just when she was getting ready for another season, something occurred that rocked me to my core. She lost her entire world in March 2024. If you have ever lost a parent, father, you understand that pain of that nature doesn't go away. It transforms and transforms you. Doubt everything, and for Mitchell it caused her to doubt basketball. She referred to her father as her original greatest admirer and harshest critic of her. The person who had encouraged her to be fantastic, but now that he was gone, she didn't determine whether she could continue to play. Wasn't sure how she was meant to concentrate on the game when her thoughts were grief-stricken. She even acknowledged in an interview she considered giving up basketball completely. The enthusiasm that had motivated her for so long. I felt far away from someone for a long time who had consistently used basketball as this was uncharted territory, a safe retreat. Each time she entered the court, every time she thought of her father, game whenever she sensed his absence. And that's when an unforeseen Kate Clark showed up. So let's be truthful, at the time Caitlin Clark was chosen by the entire basketball world's fever. Held its breath because she was the most enthusiastic. In WNBA history, rookies weren't merely keeping an eye on her performance. They observed her to see how would teammates respond if they embraced. Would there be conflict between her and Mitchell, and other veterans feel marginalized? The novice would receive all the focus as well as the veteran who had been dedicated during the most difficult years would be forgotten, but that wasn't the case. Clark's presence accomplished something that nobody as anticipated. It gave Kelsey Mitchell new life. Mitchell, for the first time in years, wasn't by herself. She wasn't alone. Dangerous danger, she wasn't alone. Player that the defense needed to concentrate on, and Mitchell, with Clark sweeping the floor, began receiving more candid glances than never considered it before. Clark. Each squad was aware that if they stopped, Mitchell was shut down in Indiana. Accustomed to being trapped with two people, compelled to make difficult shots. However, defenses could no longer afford to. That the seriousness of Clark's shooting, and Mitchell was given the floor by the passer in a manner she had never encountered, and she flourished and her numbers soared. Become more confident when playing. Greater efficiency, greater aggression, and the Indiana Fever were abruptly no. They were a team rather than a bottom feeder, which everyone was eager to see, and let's not disregard the psychological component of this change while you're going through something as terrible as losing you need people, you need help, parent, people in your vicinity who remind you that you're not by himself, and in Clark Mitchell discovered a teammate that not only showed her respect but there was no tension when I looked up to her. Rather than a power struggle, there was mutual Mitchell didn't regard Clark as someone was stealing her attention, so she viewed her as a collaborator in creating something unique, which she explained the village that is the Fever locker room helped her when she most needed it. Not only were these teammates, but they were family, and Mitchell benefited from that. Overcome the discomfort and return to the court and reaffirm her devotion to the. Naturally, the game wasn't flawless. Sailing there in the beginning of the season were growing pains that Clark needed to get used to. Mitchell had to get used to the WNBA, accompanying a real star for the initially, but the All-Star broke it. It was obvious that this duo was unique. They calculated the same average scores for each game. 19.2. They both consider that there wasn't a single player who stood out. The other was feeding off of them as equals, each other improving one another for the first time in her professional life, Mitchell wasn't merely a single talent stuck in a box. Within a losing system, she was a genuine contender, which is what makes this narrative is so potent, because when you consider this, Caitlin Clark didn't simply alter the dynamics of Indiana's onc court, altered Kelsey Mitchell's perspective completely. This wasn't only a new thing in basketball season, it was a second chance at rebirth, a motivation to keep going, and as the season enters its second half, Kelsey Mitchell is still a mystery. The playoff moment is finally approaching. For her entire career, she has been waiting. We're going to learn that soon, so we have discussed Kelsey Mitchell's hardships, the years of annoyance, the coaching shifts throughout the next 10 years of. Additionally, we have discussed playoff droughts, the incident that almost forced her to walk outside of the game, but when Clark got to Indiana, everything changed. So let's see how Clark's presence has impacted this duo's performance. Opened a completely new level in Mitchell's performance, and the reason the Indiana. It is possible that Fever is about to something noteworthy when you introduce you're not a player like Caitlin Clark. You're just adding another scorer. Someone who forces change is a game changer. Defenses to radically reconsider how they go to the field. Additionally, Mitchell had never, ever encountered before. Clark Mitchell was the main weapon of attack for. She was supposed to produce her in Indiana. Own shot each and every night, frequently being forced into a challenging situation, double-teamed, disputed jumpers, and infrequently receiving simple scoring chances. Right now for the Mitchell is, for the first time in her career, obtaining her life's easiest buckets. And Clark's court is where it all ends. One of those uncommon people is Vision Clark. Players who take 2 steps to view the game. She doesn't just state the obvious up front. Pass, she predicts where her teammates will be prior to their arrival. That elite playmaking has evolved. Think about everything for Mitchell. Prior to Clark Mitchell, he was always battling to build space. Defenses fell on her due to the absence of. Clark is now another significant perimeter threat. Requires so much focus that Mitchell frequently finds herself exposed in some places she never used to let her guard down. Can no longer concentrate solely on Mitchell, because Clark will burn them if they do, either via her death or her profound shooting. And the figures support Mitchell's. The shooting percent has increased dramatically. She's reaching career highs this season. 3-point infield goal percentage, and total effectiveness. Why? Because she's not, for the first time, being compelled to take poor photographs with Clark. Mitchell is putting defensive pressure on, obtaining a catch-and-shoot situation. She has the appearance that elite scorers aspire to, no longer merely producing for herself.